The forest was quiet, almost too quiet. Strange trees with glowing leaves stretched high into the sky, and their branches swayed gently even though there was no wind. Small lights, like floating fireflies, hovered above the mossy ground. Somewhere in the distance, a river sang softly as it ran over stones, but the sound seemed far away as if it belonged to another world. This was a place where few humans dared to go, a forest that held secrets and danger. In the middle of this forest, a massive dragon lay alone. Its scales, usually bright and shining, were dull and scratched. One wing was bent awkwardly and deep cuts ran along its side. Smoke rose in thin curls from its nostrils, and its tail, long and heavy, thumped weakly against the ground. The dragon's golden eyes were open, but they looked sad, tired, and full of pain. It had been many days since it had moved more than a little, and the forest around it seemed to whisper in sorrow. The dragon's cries were low and mournful, echoing softly through the trees. No one came to help. Travelers feared dragons and other creatures kept their distance. Even the birds and small animals stayed far away. The dragon was alone and it knew it. Its heart felt heavy and every breath it took hurt. Far away, a small human boy named Eli walked along a narrow path between the trees. He was different from other children. He had curiosity in his eyes and courage in his heart. Many humans had been told to avoid the dragon lands, but Eli had always wanted to see a real dragon. He had read stories and legends, and though the stories said dragons were dangerous, he did not believe that all dragons were cruel. As he walked, Eli noticed something strange. The forest, usually filled with the hum of life, felt silent. The birds were quiet, and even the wind seemed to hold its breath. A soft sound reached him, a low, sorrowful cry. At first he thought it was the wind or the river, but the sound grew clearer. It was not like anything he had ever heard. It was deep, long, and full of pain. Eli followed the sound carefully. He moved slowly, trying not to scare whatever made it. The trees grew thicker, their glowing leaves casting shadows that danced across the ground. Then, in a clearing bathed in soft green light, he saw it. The dragon. The boy froze for a moment. The dragon was enormous, larger than any building Eli had seen. Its scales were cracked and its golden eyes were half closed, filled with sadness. The wing bent awkwardly made it look fragile, almost like it could break. And yet, despite its size and power, the dragon did not seem dangerous. It was weak, hurt, and alone. Eli's heart ached. He stepped forward carefully, keeping his voice soft. "You're not alone," he said. The dragon flinched slightly at the sound but did not attack. Eli took another step, keeping his hands visible, showing he meant no harm. He could feel the dragon's heat in the air, warm and heavy, even though it was breathing slowly. He knelt a short distance away and took a small water flask from his bag. He held it out. "Here, maybe this will help." The dragon sniffed the water and made a low, rumbling sound. Its eye followed the boy carefully. Eli smiled gently, though his hands trembled a little. "I'm not afraid of you. I want to help." For a long time neither moved. The forest was silent except for the dragon's soft breaths. Slowly, the dragon lifted its head a little, as if it wanted to see the boy more clearly. Eli spoke quietly, telling stories of the humans he knew, of small forests and rivers, of birds and stars. He did not try to touch the dragon, only to show kindness with his voice and presence. The dragon blinked slowly. It had not felt this before. No human had come near in days, weeks, maybe months. Most humans ran away or tried to fight. But this boy, this small, curious human sat beside him, calm and unafraid. The dragon's chest moved a little faster, not in fear, but in a way that felt almost like hope. Eli stayed until the sun began to dip behind the tall trees, casting long shadows across the clearing. He did not try to leave. He did not speak much, only hummed quietly, letting the dragon know he was there. And for the first time in a long while, the dragon closed its eyes. It did not sleep, but it rested in the presence of someone who cared. The forest seemed different then. The glowing leaves shimmered a little brighter, and the floating lights hovered closer, curious. The river's song grew louder, softer, as if it was welcoming the boy and the dragon together. Somewhere deep in the forest, life watched quietly. Eli finally stood up as the first stars appeared in the sky. He looked at the dragon and said softly, "I'll come back tomorrow. I promise." The dragon did not answer, but a faint rumble came from its chest, like a small thank you. Eli smiled and walked back toward the path, leaving the dragon resting in the clearing. The dragon lay still, but its heart felt a little lighter. For the first time in days, it did not feel completely alone. And somewhere deep inside, a small hope began to grow, the hope that perhaps not all humans were to be feared. The forest was silent again, but now it felt peaceful. And in the clearing under the soft glow of the trees, a boy and a dragon shared a quiet, unspoken bond, the first step of something that could change both of their worlds forever. The next morning Eli returned to the forest. The air was crisp, and the glowing trees cast long shadows across the soft moss. He walked carefully along the path, holding a small satchel filled with food, water, and some cloth he had brought to help the dragon. He thought about the dragon all night. Its sad eyes, the smoke curling from its nostrils, the way it had flinched but not attacked him, he could not stop thinking about it. He wanted to help, to do something that might ease the dragon's pain. When he reached the clearing, the dragon was still there. Its wings were folded awkwardly and its scales were scratched and dull, just like yesterday. The dragon raised its head slightly when it saw Eli, but its eyes were tired and wary. It had survived the night alone as it always had, but now it seemed to watch the boy with something between curiosity and caution. Eli knelt a few steps away. "Good morning," he said softly. "I brought something for you." He opened his satchel and pulled out a piece of fruit, small and soft, and a bottle of water. He placed them on the ground near the dragon, far enough so it would not feel threatened. The dragon sniffed the fruit carefully. It lifted its head higher, nostrils flaring. Then slowly it reached down and took the fruit with its massive jaws. Its eyes never left Eli. The boy smiled. "See? It's okay. I won't hurt you." Eli spent hours with the dragon that morning. He spoke softly, telling stories about humans, the forests he had explored, and the stars above. He did not touch the dragon yet. He knew it would take time for trust. The dragon listened quietly, making low rumbling noises now and then, almost like it was responding. Then Eli noticed the dragon's wings. One was bent at a sharp angle, the membrane torn in several places. He realized that the dragon could not fly. His heart sank, but he did not show fear. "Don't worry," he said. "I'll help you. We will figure it out." Eli removed a piece of cloth from his bag. He wet it with water and gently approached the dragon's side. "It might feel cold," he warned. The dragon flinched slightly but did not move away. Eli dabbed the cloth on a scratch. The dragon's scales were rough, but he did not pull back. Eli worked carefully, cleaning the wounds. Slowly he could see the dragon's breathing becoming easier, less strained. Time passed. The sun moved higher, and the forest glowed brighter with the colors of the floating lights and the shimmering leaves. The dragon lowered its head closer to Eli, watching every movement. It had never experienced kindness from a human before. Fear, anger, and pain had always been the only feelings humans brought. But Eli was different. Eli talked about small things, about his life and dreams, about the mountains he wanted to climb, the rivers he wanted to explore. And in return, the dragon began to make soft sounds, low rumbles that seemed almost like a conversation. Eli laughed quietly at the strange musical noises. "I understand," he said. "I think I understand you." By afternoon, Eli had managed to clean most of the dragon's wounds and give him some food and water. The dragon stretched slightly, testing the damaged wing. It did not move much, but it did not collapse either. The boy cheered quietly, his heart filling with hope. "See? You're stronger than you think." The bond between them grew. The dragon allowed Eli to sit closer, even resting its massive head near the boy's legs. It did not trust easily, but it did trust this small human who did not fear it. The forest seemed to notice the change. The glowing trees shimmered brighter, and the floating lights hovered closer, as if welcoming this new friendship. As the sun began to set, painting the forest in warm orange and pink, Eli stayed with the dragon. "I'll come back every day," he promised. "We'll make you strong again." The dragon let out a soft rumble, a sound that Eli understood as gratitude. For the first time in weeks, the dragon's eyes looked calmer, less full of sorrow. Eli stood and stretched. He looked at the dragon one last time before heading back toward the path. "Rest now," he whispered. "Tomorrow we start again." The dragon did not move, only watched him leave. Yet Eli could feel something, hope. Something small but powerful, growing inside the dragon's heart. As he walked through the forest toward home, Eli felt a sense of purpose he had never felt before. He was no longer just a boy exploring the woods. He was a friend, a helper, someone who could change the life of a mighty creature that had been alone for too long. And he knew that this was only the beginning. The forest fell silent again, but this time the silence was different. It was peaceful. It was full of promise. And in the clearing, under the glow of the strange trees, a human boy and a wounded dragon had begun the first steps of a bond that could change their world forever. The next day Eli woke early and hurried back to the forest. The sun was just rising, and the glowing trees cast long, soft shadows on the mossy ground. He ran along the narrow path, thinking about the dragon. He wanted to learn more about it, to understand its pain, and maybe find a way to help it fly again. He carried a bag with food, water, and a few small tools he thought might be useful. When he reached the clearing, the dragon was awake. Its head lifted slowly, and its golden eyes met Eli's. The dragon had not moved much since yesterday, but it looked stronger, calmer. Its wounds were cleaner and its breathing steadier. Eli smiled. "Good morning," he said softly. "Feeling better today?" The dragon gave a low rumble, almost like a reply. Eli sat beside the dragon as usual. He offered it water and some soft fruit. The dragon sniffed them and ate slowly, its sharp teeth careful not to crush the food. After a few minutes, Eli noticed something he had not seen before. When the sunlight hit the dragon's scales, they sparkled in strange colors. Not the normal dragon colors, but bright flashes of green, blue, and red. Some scales glowed faintly. Eli's eyes widened. These are like crystals," he whispered. He reached out carefully, holding his hand near the dragon's scales but not touching. The dragon watched him closely but did not flinch. Eli could see tiny patterns inside the scales, like energy moving in rivers. "This is amazing," he said. "You're not just a dragon, you're special." The dragon made a soft rumbling sound, tilting its head as if it understood. Eli looked closer and noticed more. Small tears had fallen from the dragon's eyes, and they shimmered too, glowing faintly. When he touched a drop on a leaf nearby, it made the leaf feel warm and soft. The dragon's tears, they were magical. They could heal. That was why the dragon had survived the battle with the hunters. It had something inside that kept it alive. Eli realized something important. "The hunters, they want these crystals. They want your tears," he said. The dragon's eyes darkened slightly. It understood fear, the memory of danger. But Eli spoke gently. "I'm here. I won't let them take you. You're safe with me." For hours Eli sat beside the dragon, talking and observing. He learned that the dragon had once flown across the skies, stronger than any human could imagine. It had protected forests, rivers, and mountains from danger. And now, injured and alone, it still held the power to heal and create energy. Eli felt awe and respect. "Humans need to know, not all humans hurt," he said quietly. He noticed the dragon trying to lift its damaged wing. It trembled but did not collapse. Eli cheered softly. "You're stronger than you think," he said. "We'll work together. We'll fix you." The dragon lowered its head and made a soft rumble that sounded almost like a laugh. Eli laughed too. "See? You trust me." Then Eli had an idea. He carefully opened his bag and took out a small mirror. "Look," he said, holding it near the dragon's eye. The dragon stared at its reflection, then at Eli. The golden eye looked less tired now, and the glow of the scales was stronger. Eli realized the dragon had never really looked at itself in a long time. Its own strength had been forgotten. "You're amazing," he said. "And I want to help you remember that." As the sun moved higher, Eli explored the area around the clearing. He found soft moss that could cover the dragon's wounds and some glowing herbs that might help it heal faster. The dragon watched him carefully, making low noises of curiosity and approval. Eli worked slowly, placing the herbs near the dragon's side. The dragon's breathing grew steady, its eyes calm. Eli realized something else. The dragon's tears, the glowing scales, and the energy inside it could be dangerous if it fell into the wrong hands. Humans like the hunters would never understand. "We have to protect you," he whispered. "Not just from pain but from them too." The dragon rumbled softly, its massive head resting near Eli's knees. It seemed to understand completely. By evening, the clearing was bathed in a warm orange light. Eli sat quietly beside the dragon, watching the glowing leaves sway. He felt a deep connection, deeper than before. The dragon was not just a creature, it was a friend, a being with wisdom and power beyond imagination. And he was a part of it now. Eli promised himself something. He would come every day. He would help the dragon heal, regain strength, and remember the skies. And maybe one day the dragon would fly again, not just for itself but for the humans who could be brave enough to care. The forest seemed alive that evening, the glowing plants brighter, the floating lights hovering closer. It was as if the forest approved of this new friendship. And the dragon, once alone and afraid, began to feel something it had not felt in a long time: hope. Eli stood as the stars appeared in the sky. "Tomorrow we continue," he said softly. The dragon gave a low rumble, almost like a promise. For the first time, the boy knew that this dragon's secret power, the crystals, the healing tears, the glowing scales, was not something to fear. It was something to protect, something to cherish. As Eli walked back toward the path home, he looked over his shoulder. The dragon's golden eyes watched him, calm and trusting. The bond between them was growing stronger, and Eli knew that together, they could face whatever challenges the future held. In the quiet of the forest, with glowing trees and floating lights, a human boy and a dragon shared a secret of strength, magic, and trust that could change their world forever. The next morning, Eli hurried back into the forest, carrying his bag full of food, water, and herbs for the dragon. The sun had barely risen, and the glowing trees cast long, soft shadows on the mossy ground. He had not slept well the night before, thinking about the dragon and the strange power he had discovered in its scales and tears. He hoped the dragon was ready for another day of care and healing. When he reached the clearing, the dragon was awake, its golden eyes watching him carefully. It lifted its massive head, breathing slowly but steadily. Its wings, though still damaged, were stretched slightly as if it wanted to test them. Eli smiled. "Good morning, friend," he said. "Ready for today?" The dragon rumbled softly in reply, lowering its head slightly, showing trust. Eli knelt beside the dragon and offered water and fruit. The dragon ate slowly, its teeth careful not to crush the soft food. As he watched, Eli noticed that the glow in the dragon's scales was brighter than ever. The energy inside it was strong and alive, shimmering in patterns that danced like liquid fire. Eli felt a chill run down his spine. This dragon was more powerful than anyone could imagine, and if the hunters returned, it would be in danger. And today Eli realized they would return. From high above the trees, he saw it first, a fleet of small silver ships descending through the forest canopy. They moved carefully, scanning the ground. Eli recognized them instantly. The hunters. They had come for the dragon, drawn by the power of its scales and the magical tears that could heal or create energy. Fear gripped him for a moment, but he pushed it aside. He could not let them hurt the dragon. "Stay calm," he whispered to the dragon. "I'll help you. We'll get through this." The dragon tilted its head, its golden eyes narrowing slightly. It understood danger, and its tail flicked nervously across the moss. But it did not move away from Eli. Trust had been built too strongly for fear to break it. Eli knew they could not fight the hunters directly. The dragon was still injured, and the fleet had weapons that could harm it badly. Instead, he thought quickly. He needed to hide the dragon and protect the forest. He remembered a narrow canyon not far from the clearing. If they could reach it, the hunters could not follow without risking their ships. "Can you fly?" he asked the dragon quietly. It shook its massive head, the damaged wing trembling. Eli nodded. "That's okay. I have another idea." He climbed carefully onto the dragon's back, holding its thick scales tightly. "We'll run, not fly," he said. "Just trust me." The dragon rumbled low in its throat, and with a gentle push, it began to move through the clearing. Its legs were strong even with the injuries, and it stepped carefully, avoiding broken branches. The hunters spotted them immediately. The silver ships hovered above, scanning. Bright lights swept over the forest, and beams glinted off the dragon's glowing scales. Eli ducked slightly, keeping close to the dragon's neck. "Almost there," he whispered. The dragon's steps quickened, its massive muscles straining but determined. They reached the narrow canyon just as the hunter's beams nearly touched them. Eli held tight as the dragon slipped between the trees and into the canyon. The walls rose high on either side, jagged and rocky. The hunter's ships could not enter without risk of crashing. The dragon let out a low, triumphant roar that echoed through the rocks. Eli smiled, relief flooding him. "We made it," he said softly. The canyon was not a home, but it was safe. Eli helped the dragon lie down, making it comfortable with moss and the glowing herbs he had brought. The dragon's breathing grew steady, its golden eyes closing for a moment as if to rest. Eli sat beside it, exhausted but happy. "You're safe now," he said. "They won't find you here." For a long time, the boy and the dragon stayed quietly together. The forest outside was still alive with the hum of birds and glowing plants, but here in the canyon they had their peace. Eli stroked the dragon's scales gently. "You're stronger than you know," he whispered. "Even with your injuries you escaped. That's courage." The dragon rumbled softly, leaning its massive head against Eli's shoulder. As night fell, stars began to appear above the canyon walls. Eli looked up, thinking about the future. The hunters would not stop, they never did. But together he and the dragon could be ready. They could heal, grow stronger, and maybe one day face the hunters without fear. For now, though, they had each other. That was enough. The dragon's glow shimmered softly in the moonlight, casting dancing colors across the canyon walls. Its breathing was calm, steady, and alive. Eli felt hope fill his chest. This dragon, once alone and dying, now had someone who would not abandon it. And Eli, once just a curious boy, had become a protector, a friend, and a part of something far bigger than himself. The forest beyond the canyon might hold danger, but here, in the quiet of the rocks, they had found safety. And together, human and dragon began to prepare for whatever challenges lay ahead, ready to face the future as one. The morning sunlight touched the canyon walls, painting them gold and pink. Eli was awake early as always, and he could hear the soft rumble of the dragon beside him. The massive creature had slept calmly through the night, its breathing steady, its injuries slowly healing with the herbs and care Eli had brought. The boy smiled. Today felt different. Today felt like a new beginning. "Good morning," Eli whispered softly. The dragon lifted its head and blinked its golden eyes. It stretched carefully, testing its wings. One wing still drooped, but it no longer shook as badly. Eli offered water and fruit, and the dragon accepted them without hesitation. For the first time, Eli noticed the subtle shimmer in the dragon's scales. The magic inside it seemed stronger, brighter, as if it had grown overnight. Eli climbed carefully onto the dragon's back. He held on tightly, feeling the strength in the dragon's muscles. "Let's see how far we can go today," he said. The dragon lowered its head slightly as if agreeing. They moved slowly at first, the dragon's injured leg trembling, but soon it found its rhythm. Step by step, they left the canyon and entered the forest again. The forest was alive with morning light. Glowing plants swayed in the breeze, and small creatures peeked from the bushes, curious but cautious. Eli could feel the dragon's energy growing with each step. Its golden eyes sparkled, and a low rumble of excitement came from its chest. For the first time in a long while, the dragon felt free. They climbed a hill together, and at the top, the forest opened into a wide clearing. The view was breathtaking. Rivers sparkled in the sunlight, mountains rose in the distance, and the sky stretched wide and blue above. Eli's heart lifted. "See," he said softly. "This is your world. You belong here." The dragon rumbled in agreement, lifting its wings carefully. Eli helped the dragon test its wings. Slowly, cautiously, the dragon tried to lift off the ground. Its damaged wing trembled, but it held. With Eli's encouragement, it hopped a little, then flapped, then lifted slightly. The air carried it just above the trees for a moment. Eli cheered, his voice echoing across the forest. "You can do it. You're strong enough." The dragon landed carefully, its eyes bright with joy. It rumbled deeply as if laughing, and Eli laughed with it. They had come a long way from the first day in the forest. The dragon, once alone and dying, was alive and strong again. And Eli, once just a curious boy, had become a hero, not with weapons or machines but with courage, kindness, and trust. As they rested, Eli noticed something else. The dragon's tears had begun to fall again, but now they were calm and warm, not from pain. The glowing crystals in its scales shimmered brighter than ever. Eli realized the dragon's power was a gift, not just for itself but for the world. He knew that humans and dragons could live together, help each other, and create something wonderful. Suddenly, a sound broke the quiet. From the far edge of the clearing, the hunters had arrived. Their silver ships hovered above, scanning the forest, searching for the dragon. Eli's heart raced, but he did not panic. He looked at the dragon. "We've trained for this. We can do it," he whispered. The dragon tilted its head, its eyes glowing fiercely. It understood. But they did not need to fight. Eli had noticed a hidden path along the river, narrow and twisting, impossible for the hunters' ships to follow. He pointed. The dragon nodded. Together they ran toward the path, moving faster than ever. The hunters' beams tried to follow, but they could not reach them. Step by step, they disappeared into the safety of the forest, leaving the hunters behind. By evening they had found a new home, a wide plateau with soft grass, glowing trees, and a clear view of the sky. The dragon lay down, its massive body stretching comfortably. Eli sat beside it, tired but happy. "This is it," he said softly. "A new beginning. You're safe and we can start again." The dragon rumbled in agreement, its golden eyes watching the horizon. Eli knew that life would not always be easy. The hunters might return and dangers would always exist. But the bond between human and dragon was stronger than fear. Together they had faced the impossible, healed, and survived. And together they would face whatever came next. As the sun set, painting the sky in orange and purple, the dragon lifted its head and looked at Eli. The golden eyes shone with gratitude and trust. The dragon had once been alone, crying in the forest, believing that no one cared. Now it was alive, strong and free, with a human boy by its side who had shown that courage, kindness and hope could overcome any fear. Eli smiled. "We're just getting started," he said. And as night fell, the stars appeared above them, reflecting in the dragon's shimmering scales. The forest, once silent and lonely, was now alive with possibility. The boy and the dragon had begun a journey that would change their world forever, proving that even the smallest human could inspire hope in the greatest of creatures. Together they rested, side by side, ready for the future. And in the quiet of the glowing forest, a new story of friendship, courage and trust had begun, one that would be remembered for generations to come.